Hi, good morning. It's me, Shakti. Oh, Sundari. This morning I'm making this Facebook Live on the topic of pleasure is power. And I'm still feeling very inspired as a result of Facebook deactivating my advertising account around the issue of my work being pornographic. And this has really inspired me to explain and share what I actually do and why I'm so passionate about it. Hi, Karina. Hi. So, pleasure is power. And I'd even go so far as to say that a sexually satisfied woman is a happy woman and an empowered woman. I'm going to read to you a quote from David Deida. He's a sacred sexuality educator, an educator of masculinity and femininity. So here's a quote from David Deida. For most women, emotional openness, sexual openness, and spiritual openness are all part of the same single gesture of trust, relaxation, and love. In fact, for many women, their deepest sexual experiences are their deepest spiritual experiences. Okay, so to follow on from this, I've actually made some notes. I normally just completely ad lib when I'm talking to the camera, but I've made some notes this morning because I just had this kind of download of what I wanted to say as I was sitting in bed after meditating. So I really want to get it across. So here's where I'm going to start is, what does it take to have pleasurable sex? Now, I'm speaking here mainly from the feminine perspective, but this probably does apply to everybody. It's simply that because I'm an educator and a teacher of sexuality and empowerment for women, that's the position and the knowing and the place I'm speaking from. But it will apply to many, I think. And of course, we all have a feminine, we all have a masculine, okay? So just to make that clear. So this is what I know from my work, from my teaching, from my own lived experience. It takes to have pleasurable sex, we need to be relaxed. We need to trust. So relaxation, trust, safety. These are really important. When I've done workshops with women, these are the kinds of things that come top, not what you might think. Relaxation, trust, safety. Okay, then it takes knowing your body and knowing your arousal pathway, which is unique to every single body. Okay, then it takes self-love. We can't open in making love, and we can't really have pleasure unless we open on all levels, unless we love ourselves. But of course, first come relaxation, trust, and safety, right? Knowing the body, knowing your arousal pathways, self-love. Love for yourself and the other, connection with the other, sensorial sensitivity, so the capacity to feel deeply, okay, and presence, the ability to go into a state of no mind. But all of that will come if you're already relaxed, trusting, safe, loving, connected with your body, present, self-loving, okay? All right, so those are the conditions that are required to experience pleasurable sex. And I know I'm speaking in absolutes here, and please, if you know something else and you've experienced something else, please share it, okay? I am simplifying a little bit, but I know this is important. What I also want to now say is that those things I've just mentioned are the building blocks for women to experience not just pleasurable sex, but consciousness raising sex, and to step into their fully awakened womanhood. So that takes sexuality into spirituality, but those are the building blocks for that. And at that point, in that level, it's not really about genital sex anymore, okay? But those are the building blocks that we go from sex that is a genital release to a woman stepping fully into her power as a force for love and higher consciousness in the world. And that's what we're here to be. I'm just looking at my notes. So a woman's yoni, which refers to her vagina and her womb space and all of her outer and inner labia, and her sexuality are the building blocks of her power and her divinity. That's why sexuality cannot be separated from spirituality, because they are one and the same in the feminine body. Okay, so this is, if you've just joined me, I'm talking about pleasure and power. Okay, so next, these are the conditions for pleasurable sex. This is what pleasurable sex can lead to. What is it that inhibits pleasurable lovemaking? Well, shame around sexuality, shame around the body, disconnection from the body and sexuality, an inability to feel deeply in the body and the sexual organs, a history of abuse and trauma, unwanted sexual attention, mistrust of the masculine, a conditioning that tells us that sex is wrong and pleasure is wrong, not knowing our own bodies and our own arousal pathways, giving our power and responsibility for our bodies and our sexuality away, being conditioned to be the object rather than the subject of sex and sexuality, social media pressure to look a certain way, the beauty myth, and the porn industry and the porn standard. Okay, so all of those things will inhibit feminine sexual pleasure. Right, now, next point that leads on from that is, hey, guess what? We live in a culture, in a society where the dominant paradigm perpetuates those kinds of attitudes and beliefs. And guess what? Those kinds of beliefs and attitudes are the kinds of beliefs and attitudes that deactivated my Facebook advertising account because my work was deemed to be pornographic. My work's all about sexual and spiritual empowerment for women. The dominant paradigm around us, the beliefs that are dominant around us, are about a culture that splits sex and spirit off from one another, that splits masculine and feminine off from one another, that disempowers the feminine, that shames sexuality, that shames the body, that objectifies men and women. For example, as we see in pornography, in mainstream media advertising is full of soft porn. What do you think is being used to sell you products and services all the time? Sexuality. It's in the media, it's on television. And it's in sexual education. My kids came home from school and told me about the sex ed that they received. There wasn't one mention in their sex education of the word pleasure. They asked me, Mum, we've been told this, I asked them, what did they tell you at school when they gave you your sex ed? So we talked about it. And of course, I'd already told them other stuff. But they said to me, it was very strange. They kind of told us like what not to do in case of getting sexually transmitted disease. So they kind of spread fear. They gave us the mechanics of it, although still they didn't really understand the mechanics of it from what they were taught at school. But they said we didn't really understand why people do it. So my son said, I guess it's pleasurable in some way. So in sex education, children aren't being told that sex is pleasurable. I mean, hey. My point is that your body and your sexuality are a gift from God and a gateway to expanded awareness and consciousness. And without knowing this and being made to feel that it's just a functional act, you are being cut off from your own power and your own divinity. Okay, it's that strong. It's that strong, what has been happening for centuries and what is still happening. That is why I'm so passionate about what I do. Let me just ask you something. Would you rather that your children were conceived in a moment of incredible passion, pleasure, and divinity, or the opposite of that? Would you rather be conceived in a moment of passion, pleasure, and divinity and love, or the opposite of that? If that's what you want, what do you think it takes for our next generation of children and for everybody in the world to know how to do that? Because it sure ain't happening a lot of the time right now. So many women that I work with tell me that they're having unsatisfying sex. They're putting up with sex that is not pleasurable, and they are not connected to the divinity of their bodies and their sexuality. So it's not happening a lot, in my experience and understanding, for many people. Wouldn't you wish for everybody in the world to be connected with the greatest potential that they have for love, for pleasure, for joy, for deep intimacy? Wouldn't you wish for everybody in the world to be making beautiful love as much as possible? What do you think it takes for that to happen? Okay. Wouldn't you wish for everyone to be as empowered as they possibly could be, men and women? What do you think it takes for that to happen? Wouldn't you rather bring more love into the world through your making love? What do you think it takes for that to happen? Okay, that is it. Pleasure is power. And like I said in my video the other day, we still live in an anti-ecstatic society, and I'm here to change that. And there are many other people here who to change that as well. Please share this post. Please post your comments. I go into a bit of a kind of an altered state when I make the videos, so I'm not capable of reading comments at the same time. What I normally do is go back and look at the comments afterwards. I do want to say that I'm going to be offering an Awakening Shakti free video series coming up just for women very soon. So if you're interested in that, it'll be like a 5-day challenge. Post below and just say you're interested, and that's going to be leading on to an online group program I'm offering called Awakening Shakti, which is a whole 9 months program devoted to your awakening as women, sexually, spiritually, and in every level, because we cannot separate our sexuality from our power, from our spirituality, and from every arena of our life. Please let me just accentuate, this is not about making love all the time and having sex all the time. It's just that the word sex has become so distorted in the predominant understanding in the world. Let's wake up and change things. Thank you for watching. Much love, and may you have a very pleasurable, beautiful, satisfying day. Sat Nam. Oops. Sat Nam.